Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracking down a massive, invisible health threat hiding right in plain sight. It doesn't loudly announce its arrival, it leaves zero clues, but it's quietly working behind the scenes, literally affecting billions of lives. Let's unmask this stealthy culprit, hypertension. 1.4 billion. Take a second to wrap your head around that. That is not some projection for the distant future. That's the staggering number of adults globally living with this completely silent condition right now. Okay, let's dive into this. The trajectory we're on is honestly staggering. Back in 1990, about 650 million adults had hypertension. Today, that number has more than doubled. So, what's driving this? Well, it's largely a rapidly aging population, primarily centralized in low and middle income countries. It's a massive demographic shift that is completely altering the global health landscape. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The silent global epidemic. 2. Decoding your blood pressure. 3. Are you at risk? 4. The hidden damage. And 5. Taking back control.
Let's start with Section 1, the silent global epidemic.
So where is this hitting the hardest? Well, prevalence actually varies wildly depending on your geography and regional income. The WHO's Eastern Mediterranean region gets hit the worst, sitting way up at 38%. On the flip side, the Western Pacific region has the lowest rate, though to be clear, it's still a highly significant 29%. Moving on to Section 2, decoding your blood pressure. Simply put, hypertension is just high blood pressure, but clinically speaking, a diagnosis happens when it's measured on 2 different days and the top number is 140 or higher or the bottom number is 90 or higher. Those 2 different days are absolutely crucial. It proves it's a persistent, ongoing issue, not just a temporary spike from a stressful afternoon. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can translate those clinical numbers using a simple plumbing analogy. Think of your heart as the central pump, right? And your blood vessels are the pipes. The top number, your systolic pressure, is the pressure in those pipes right when the pump actively squeezes water through. The bottom number, diastolic, well, that's the baseline pressure when the pump briefly rests between beats.
Section 3, are you at risk?
Think about it for a second. Usually, severe medical conditions come with really loud warning sirens, right? Pain, fatigue, a sudden fever. So what does high blood pressure actually feel like to the 1.4 billion people who have it?
Absolutely nothing. For the vast majority of people, there are 0 symptoms, and this is exactly why it operates entirely under the radar.
Without those warning bells, we have to rely on knowing our risk factors. First up, the ones you can actually control. Things like high-salt diets, physical inactivity, tobacco use, excess alcohol, and obesity. Your environment plays a huge role too, with air pollution being a massive trigger. Then there are the non-modifiable risks, things you can't change, like your family history, being over 65, or coexisting conditions like diabetes and kidney disease. Which brings us to Section 4, the hidden damage. Now, I mentioned earlier that there are usually no symptoms, but the terrifying exception to that rule is a hypertensive crisis, a sudden spike to 180 over 120 or higher. At this extreme, the body finally sets off alarms: blinding headaches, chest pain, dizziness, nausea, vision changes, intense anxiety, buzzing in the ears, and nosebleeds. This is absolutely not a wait-and-see moment. It requires immediate emergency medical care. So, the crucial point is the physical reality of the long-term damage happening beneath the surface. When excessive pressure constantly hammers against the walls of your blood vessels day in and day out, it physically hardens your arteries. They literally lose their stretch. And these narrow, rigid arteries block the vital flow of blood and oxygen to your major organs. This restricted blood flow leads to some truly stark, potentially fatal outcomes if we ignore it. It causes angina, which is severe chest pain, heart attacks, and heart failure. It can trigger an irregular heartbeat. It can even burst arteries in the brain, causing a stroke. And it relentlessly degrades your kidneys, potentially leading to total kidney failure. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, taking back control. The very first step to getting control is knowing your target numbers. For most people, the goal is keeping your pressure under 140 over 90. But if you already have cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or chronic kidney disease, the rules change. You need to aim strictly for under 130 over 80. Getting a personalized checkup is absolutely non-negotiable here. And this brilliantly illustrates the toolkit doctors use if lifestyle changes aren't quite enough. There are 4 common medicines. ACE inhibitors and ARBs both work to relax the blood vessels while actively preventing kidney damage. Calcium channel blockers also focus primarily on relaxing those vessels. Diuretics, though, take a totally different route. They flush extra water from the body, lowering your overall fluid volume, and therefore reducing the pressure in the pipes. But listen, whether you're on medication or not, lifestyle changes are mandatory. The physical activity benchmarks for prevention are highly specific. You need 150 minutes a week of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. Add to that some strength-building exercises at least 2 days every single week. Your dietary action plan requires equally decisive steps. You've got to eat more vegetables and fruits. Slash your salt intake to under 2 grams per day. Cut out high saturated and trans fats. Limit alcohol to 1 drink max daily for women and 2 for men. And it totally goes without saying, quit tobacco immediately. Ultimately, the medical consensus leaves us with one defining reality. The only way to detect hypertension is to have a health professional measure blood pressure. Because it is completely silent, regular, painless testing is literally the absolute only way to know where you stand. We started off today by looking at 1.4 billion people on a massive global scale, but the data ultimately leads right back to your personal responsibility and your own health. So I'll leave you with this. When was the last time you checked your numbers?